What's up, y'all? Peace, peace. What's good? How y'all doing? Let's see, what time do we? I had you guys on hold for what, like 9 minutes or so. Uh, Somebody put that in the comments when you watch this replay for me, so that everybody will know where to fast forward. But peace and love. What's good? How y'all doing? Today is Sunday, March 29th, 2026. I pray this message reaches you all in the best of health. About to say hair, spirit, and mind. Health, spirit, and mind. That's me with my little struggle ponytail, you know? But I'm so happy to have my hair back in a ponytail. Y'all just do not understand. I have notoriously been wearing ponytails for all of my life. And so ponytails are definitely a great way for me to express my, is that better? Or is that worse? Better? Let's keep it there. What's up, family? How y'all doing? Shout out to everybody in the chat room. It's kind of late, I know. It is approximately 8:34 Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast, Pacific Standard Time, West Coast. But yeah, I wanted to tap in with you guys. There's a couple of stories that I have been kind of watching and wanted to discuss. And yeah, I don't want to have to wait until I do full headline news episodes, because those episodes take me a lot of time to put together. So I just wanted to come and tap in with you guys on this good Sunday evening. See how you guys are doing. See how y'all feeling. What's the vibes? The world is, seemingly going crazy on the outside, looking in, right? And one of the things we talked about in my book club meeting yesterday in my membership channel, shout out to all of my members in my membership channel. And please, you guys, remember to update your memberships, because all monthly memberships will be expiring because I changed the dynamic of them. But that's for my membership club members. But there is a segment or a subject in this, or a section in this book, Mastering Through Accomplishment by Hazrat Inayat Khan. This is the last book that we read in my membership channel. And so yesterday we did we went back through some of the stuff that we talked about. And one of the sections was called The Enjoyment of Beauty. And so I want to read a passage from that and share with you guys. And we'll get to that at the end, because obviously we're going to talk about some of the chaos and craziness in the world. But then I also want to, end on a high note, because it's a great and dreadful day. It's a great day for those of us who are doing the work, who understand that consciousness creates reality, who are living in this world and not of this world. And it is a dreadful day for those who are not. And I am not in any position to determine where any of us fit in that category. Our lives and our livelihood and how we carry ourselves and how we conduct ourselves is what actually determines that. So we're going to end with that. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I'm not going to even read it, because it looks more advanced and more extenuous than it actually is. I have some videos that I'm going to upload here. I should have did that before I started, but I was just go live and figure it out. But let me tap in with you guys in the chat room. What's good? Chakra King, peace and love. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Center of the World, what's good? Righteous by nature. I love that handle. I didn't mean to do that, my bad. Peace and love, Queen Amina. How you doing? Assalamu alaikum, sister. Joshua said the vibe last time was amazing. I'm here for that. You know what I mean? Beta LA, yes, for sure. It's all California love all the time. What's up, Nelton? How you doing, King? Much love. Thank you for being here. Always happy for your presence. That's one of my brothers and my membership channel members, and one of my greatest supporters. Bobby, peace and love. What's good? How you doing? Gina, what's good, Queen? Anunak, what's good? Peace and love. And then Royce from Philly the Dragon. How you doing? How you feeling? And thank you for being here. And thank you for always being here. You are consistently with us, not always in the live, but consistently supporting me, and I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, I just wanted to tap in with you guys and see what the vibes is. It's a lot going on, and it's important for us to be able to sort of maintain a situational awareness with what's going on in the world. I feel like my lighting is bad. Maybe I should just turn it on low. How about that? Because it's like my left side of my face looks dark, right side of my face looks light. So if I turn it on, I don't like that light in the middle of my forehead like that, even though it's giving third eye. But I don't like that light. So let's just do that. That's a little bit better. All right, cool. I wanted to record this earlier. I have my desk positioned right here because I'm right in front of a window, so I can take advantage of the natural light, because I don't be liking these artificial lights in my face. But then I took a nap and here we are. And let me know if my sound is okay, you guys. I am playing some frequency music in the background. Thank you so much, Free My Grandma. I appreciate you for the super chat. Much love for the support. And my website is in the description. My email address is in the description. My Cash App information is in the description. I have a membership channel that is $11 a month. And I also have a special right now for a $55 annual pass. And then all of my books and all of my content can be accessed through my website. And guys, I'm getting ready to, I meant to announce this in the last video, and I don't think I did. I'm getting ready to release an ebook version of Ancient People. It's a smaller, more condensed version, obviously smaller, and it's an ebook, so you can order it and then it'll come right to your email, and then you can print it out. And maybe you can hold an after-school program for all of the children in your community and print 10 copies and have the babies come over and do crossword puzzles and spelling and grammar. Or maybe you have a family member that's in their 30s, 40s, or 50s that loves history like me, and you don't want to make the full investment for the textbook because it is an investment in a textbook. So maybe you want to just order an ebook and shoot it to them via email and just let them know you love them and you miss them and you're thinking about them. But yeah, that ebook is going to be available. Actually, I will be announcing that tomorrow. And so I'll keep you guys posted and post it on all of my social media channels and whatnot. Just trying to find different ways to make sure that I can get my work out to the world. And the ebook, I had grappled with whether or not I was going to do that. But, the learning curve of producing a project of this magnitude, once you check off all the boxes, because there's been 20 stages that I've had to go through to get to this point, probably more than 20 to be honest. But yeah, once I actually got to this point, I decided that was probably going to be the best thing for me to do. Let me close out some of these tabs. I am notoriously having 1,000 tabs open. So let me just do that real quick. I got my membership cipher open. I got my membership channel open. I got YouTube open. For my members also, I posted the archive of the book club meeting as well, so you guys can access that. And it looks like my screen is stuck. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you guys can see and hear me. Okay, cool. I think my screen got stuck for a minute there. So pardon me. So I don't even know what part of that you guys picked up and which part you didn't, or where I left off. So let me just close this out real quick. Okay, cool. So, damn, what was I even saying? Oh, Ancient People, the ebook version. Yeah, so that's going to be, I'll be making the announcement for that tomorrow. Trying to find ways to consistently get my mind and my work out into the world, and I'm so excited for myself because as much as I've been in the trenches, getting this masterpiece, I must say, through the production process, I'm finally clearing up some energy so that I can start working on my next project. And I don't even know which project I'm going to work on next, but I definitely have a burning desire right now to get into my next thing. And that's one of the things that, and I'll probably do a separate video about this, about, being a business owner, being a small business owner, and then being a writer, being in a particular field that, it takes a certain, there's a science to being an author in this time, in the time of AI, in the time of Amazon and the big wigs, in the time of DEI, in the time of a war against consciousness and intelligence. And, you know, like I always say, whatever direction I see the masses go in, I'm going in the opposite direction. So if darkness and, you know, and non-intellectualism and ignorance and all of this foolishness that we are constantly being inundated by, if that's like the common consensus, then that's like my that's sort of my reminder to get on my job and get on my square as far as being a writer. And as beautiful as ancient people is, I know in my mind, and it's a masterpiece, I know my next book is going to be even greater. You know, I know it's going to be even more beautiful, even more voluminous, and all of the things. And so, you know, this is something that I've been really emphasizing in my content. Mastering your craft. First of all, you got to have a craft to master, right? And a lot of us, you know, I don't know if we think about it in context of that, but like, yeah, I have a craft to master. And I'm so proud of that. And that's in writing, that's as a writer, but then that's as a publisher. But then that's also as a, you know, a teacher. I've got a workshop coming up on the 6th here at a local school in LA. It's going to be 100 girls. I'm doing a Keys to Womanhood workshop. It's the first one. I've been trying to break through this LAUSD ceiling. And so the first one is going to be on the 6th. 100 girls is going to be based around the Keys to Womanhood workbook. And eventually my plan is to get in all the schools, the high schools, the middle schools, and go in and use Keys to Womanhood as a workshop, and then use Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance as a workshop for boys. Because yes, I feel capable and I feel privileged and I feel responsible to not only teach our daughters, but to teach our sons as well. So you guys make sure that you support the people that are actually doing all the stuff that we always say that nobody's doing. It's a thing, you know? Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Salute Queen ZaZa, just saying what's up. Gonna watch back at work tomorrow. Cool. So make sure you come back and let me know what your feedback is once you get a chance to watch this. But mastering your craft, having a craft to master, and then discipline. And I said I think I did, this was a private video in the membership channel, so I don't know if I said this publicly, but when I do these 30-day workout challenges, I'm in one right now. I'm on day 19. Today I did an hour. I walked for an hour. I power walked for an hour. Yesterday I did 2 25-minute upper body and lower body workouts with dumbbells. I'm in great shape right now, you guys. Like, I'm about to be a beast for the summer. I ain't gonna even lie. But yeah. So I mean, you know, I gotta flex one time because I'm putting in the work. But I was having a conversation with a female in a cafe that I frequent. I feel like I've told this story 3 times now, but you know, I did it in my stories today and I did it in the video. But I was having a conversation with a sister who in the cafe that I frequent, and I was telling her that I was on a 30-day workout challenge, and she was like, "Oh, okay, is that for your gym or are you like in a fitness group?" And I said, "No, this is just something I do often." Wait a minute, you guys see my silver? You see my silver cow shell earrings? Can you see them? This is the first time I wore them too. These are a gift. You see? But I was telling her, I do these kind of challenges consistently. I do 90-day yoga challenges. I do 30-day workout challenges. I do, you know, fasting obviously is a consistent challenge for me. And it's a challenge because, you know, you start the fast, but you don't have to finish it. You can say you fasted and not, you know, and lie or be lying to the world or whatever. But like for me, I do these challenges, number one, to challenge myself, right? You say, I talk about mastering your craft. Well, we can also master our physical bodies, right? And I experiment with myself. You know, they say no pain, no gain. That's not necessarily my mentality, but like I want to take it to the limit. You know, I want to be strong. I want to be vibrant. I want to be, you know, I'm tall, so yoga helps me to be to have good posture, right? And I don't want to be in my 60s and 70s hunched over. Like a lot of people start shrinking when they get older. I won't shrink. I'm going to be a flamingo until I'm 120, you know? And I said flamingos because flamingos have like the best posture of all of the animals, I think, animal kingdom, and probably better than most humans, you know? But good posture is attractive. if you're sitting and slumping like this, and a lot of times we don't even realize that we on these phones, we on these computers. But when you have good posture and you're sitting up straight, you know, number one, it's really good for your body, obviously. And then number two, it's like, you know, there's a regality, there's a regalness to it. There is a, you know, I take care of myself element to it. It's like, you know, I'm flossing and I'm flexing and I ain't really even saying anything, you know. And so the intention is not to flex. Obviously the intention is for our bodies to be operating at their highest capacity, you know. And so that's what I want to do. But the 30-day challenge and things like that, because I always say my discipline is top tier, right? And it is, and it has been for most of my life, and nobody instilled that in me. It's just something that I was serious about and persistent with. So when I say my discipline is top tier, this is one of the reasons why, because I start things and I make a, you know, a goal I set a goal, you know, I say I'm going to start this 30-day workout plan, and then every single day I stick to it. And then those are the things and the challenges that develop discipline. So this is one of the reasons why I'm disciplined, because I say for the next 30 days, I'm giving it at least 30 minutes every day. Most days is 60 minutes. But like, yeah, I'm every single day committing this. And if you can't, and if we can't commit to at least 30 minutes a day to do something for our physical well-being, then we're already in hell. If I don't have 30 minutes a day, a minimum of 30 minutes a day to be able to, you know, physically take care of myself and commit to myself, then what's the point of any of this, you know? And so like today, doing that walk, and I was in LA and it was 82 degrees and it was beautiful. And I love to go out into the world. Like I'm a student of the soul of the world, you know? And so as I'm out in these different places, kind of wandering around and just, you know, looking at the people, looking at the homes, looking at the environment, picking up on the frequency in these environments, I'm tapping in with the soul of the world, you know? And so walking is one of the best things that I suggest, because physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, it covers all bases. If you are depressed, if you're dealing with anxiety, if you are in a high stress situation, walk every day. Get up in the morning and go for a walk before you go to work. Go for a walk after you come home and, you know, fix dinner and the day has kind of calmed down and settled down. We have to be intentional about really, really taking care of ourselves, you know? So you don't have to, what do you say? You don't have to wonder, ZaZa is live. Yes, I am live. Thank you so much for being here. Peace and love, family. Peace, Soup Bone. That is a very interesting name. But yeah, so that, you know, that's just kind of where I was today, and what I had going on this weekend. We did the book club meeting yesterday. I got some work done today with the ebook. I'm kind of just like putting a puzzle together, finishing that and finalizing that. And yeah, and also then keeping up with, you know, the things that have been happening in the collective consciousness. And so one of the videos that I wanted to share, let me upload this real quick. I think that I did this in a way where it should be easy for me to pull all these videos down. So that's not it right there. Let's see. I ran, that's not it. 360, is that it? No, that ain't it. Hyper Real Reborn. I ran, Jay-Z Flaunt. Okay, Republicans. Where is that video, bruh? Don't tell me I did not download that video. Okay, I didn't. I'm gonna have to go back and find it, because there is a brother talking about he was 13. He said I was 13 and she was 25, and he is talking about the fact that he was essayed by a 25-year-old woman at 13 years old, and it was somebody that was a family friend. And so I wanted to talk about that because, you know, before we talked about the grooming of girls and the PDF files and how 21 Savage said that Atlanta was a grooming city, right? So I think we kind of honed in on that point, especially because people in Atlanta are actually campaigning for a strip, you know, Magic City to be a part of a family-oriented, you know, environment, which is the most game goofy shit I've ever heard. Right. But this just reiterates what I've been saying for a long time now. Like, our culture is not really ready to go to bat for our daughters yet. The women is another, is another story. We could talk about that, but the women want to talk about the women before they talk about the daughters, our daughters. And I want to talk about our daughters first. So I have been consistently in the fire over the years because I've been trying to bring attention to this particular subject. And now here we are in 2026 with, again, this lame game, goofy shit. I'm just not built for this. So but the flip side of that, because we always talk a lot about, the impact of girls, right? And how this over sexualized culture is impacting our daughters. But there's also a caveat to that in terms of the impact on our sons. And I talked about this in my Black Matters Volume 2 book, which is available at my website, ZaZaAli.com, which the information is in the description. I talked about Lil Wayne in that situation with Baby, who is super weird. And how they bragged about when Lil Wayne was 11 years old. Mind you, Lil Wayne is basically a functioning drug addict at this point. And if he's not, then scratch that, right? Because maybe he's clean and maybe he's gotten his life together. And if he is, then bravo. I would rather that than anything. But for all intents and purposes, for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, Lil Wayne has been a consistent drug addict, right? And has talked about it and that, all the things, right? So that's not even controversial for me at this point. Or it shouldn't be controversial for any of us at this point. But yeah, they bragged about the fact that Baby brought two grown ass women into a room full of men and Lil Wayne and had them give him fellatio at 11 and then have sexual relations with him at 11 years old. And so our culture has this thing where we groom our sons in a way that is very counterproductive to their well-being. And that's just one example. So I want to pull that video up. I'm going to have to find it, save it, download it. So I'll do that while I'm playing one of these other clips. But yeah, that's I was 13 and she was 25. And if we as a culture, Black people in America, I'm talking about, if we're not ready to really sit up straight and start having these conversations about the conditions in the ground that our children are actually dealing with, because we are so in love with and in worship with celebrity culture that you are not willing to hold a Nicki Minaj or Lotto or a Magic City or Atlanta Hawks or a City of Atlanta or whatever it is. I'm not, those people just came up off the top of my mind, but like, we have to understand there's something going on here when the majority of our females are in rap songs talking about clapping. Anyway, I'll just show the video and then I'll get into that from there. So while I'm pulling that up, I want to show this video. I'll start with this just because it's the first one I downloaded. I'm not talking about these things in any particular order. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. You guys hold me down as I'm trying to kind of pivot and do multiple things at one time. And thank you again for the super chats. My Cash App information is in the description. I'm accepting all love and all reciprocity. So this story, let me pull this up real quick. So U.S. weather officials said, okay, so let me start this over just so I can give context to this. I thought it had talking on it, but video shows a fiery red sky over Western Australia on Friday. Color as dust filled the air ahead of tropical cyclone Narelle. Let me write that down. What they're naming their weather warfare catastrophes. Tropical cyclone Narelle. This is why when I've been talking about these white lines in the sky this whole time, they're not doing this for nothing. They're not infiltrating our sky and filling our sky with trillions of tons of particles for no reason. And now we're starting to see the results. U.S. weather officials said the storm winds had probably kicked up the dry, iron-rich soil of the outback. when I was in Oakland during the, what was that? What was happening? Was it fires? I think it was, there was a fire, right? I said, there's been so much crazy shit happen over the last 5 years, like I'm losing track. But I was in Oakland and oh man, what was it? I think it was a fire, if I remember correctly. This, I'm talking about, this was in like 2022, I think, when I came back home. And the sky was like orange, like real orange. And it was the weirdest, crazy, like I'm telling you, it felt apocalyptic. And it was a combination of the smoke. It was a combination of, see, this is the other thing about this technology that I've been trying to like share with you guys without getting censored and having my pages taken down. But one of the things that this technology actually does is that it traps heat, it traps moisture, it traps, you know, whatever the particular methodology that they're trying to implement at that time, meaning heavy winds or heat, or, you know, like this situation, a cyclone, hurricane storms, right? It's probably sounds crazy for some of you guys that you think this is not possible. I'm way past that. So if this sounds far-fetched for you, probably new to my channel, I've written a book called The Scientific Intervention in Our Affairs. I have been studying the white lines in the sky, HAARP, all of the things, right, for a long time now, 15 years now. So for me, the writing is on the wall. If it sounds far-fetched to you, I'm okay with that too. But yeah, so these serious weather anomalies, and I've watched them all the time, build these storms right here in Los Angeles, because California is where they always started, because the jet stream starts here. And I'm saying that particular for America. The jet stream starts here, and so they kind of hone it. They exasperate whatever the original conditions are, but then they're also moving the jet stream across the country. And so it's like a domino effect, you know, starting California, Arizona, Nevada, right? And kind of like moving Texas, moving through the country or whatnot. And so here we have this situation in, I mean, it feels like we're walking right through the book of Revelations, right? We have this situation in Arizona where the skies just turn completely blood red. Remember, family, in a previous episode, this may have just been on my membership channel, where in Florida, the sky turned purple. Remember that? That was like a year ago. And then we had the situation in Oakland where when they had those fires, the sky turned orange, right? So a lot of this stuff is, you know, if you read the book of Revelations, and like the language is not, you have to remember, we have to remember the language is not necessarily particular for this timeline in terms of how it's written. A lot of the information is coded. A lot of the context is coded, right? And so, but if you really read it, a lot of the stuff that they're talking about right now is actually happening. I saw Kanye West's new video. I don't know if you guys have heard his new album yet. I think there's like 4 songs on there for me that are like absolute classics, and it's really the beats. Kanye is a beast with the beats, right? There's like 4 songs on there, especially the one Brothers and Sisters. Like, oh my God, I played that song like 10 times today when I was walking. But then the rest of it is kind of like, I don't really want to hear Kanye West sing. It was good on the Donda album because he was talking, you know, it was more religious. It was more talking about his mother and whatnot. So it was kind of a little bit more cool, I will say. But he's got like 5 or 6 songs on the new album where he's just singing. So I don't know. Maybe the hardcore Ye fans, I'm seeing conversations like this is his best album yet. I don't know how. Donda, to me, was probably his best album. That album from beginning to end was absolutely 1000% a classic. So yeah, but I thought that video was really interesting because Michael Jackson is in it, right? Obviously they use AI, and he's like sitting in the back of the video, just like hella stoic. He's not moving, right? So there's a lot of symbolism in that video. I had another clip I was gonna play that, but maybe I don't want to get a strike because I think it has some of the music from the video in it. But yeah, so listen to the Kanye album today. Again, there's like 4 songs on it that are absolute bangers, and then the rest of it is like, So yeah, but why did I even bring up Kanye West? I don't know. Where did that even come from? So yeah, with the situation in Arizona, in Australia right now with the weather dichotomy. And let me pull up my next video. What I did is I didn't upload these in the system because I think my system kind of runs a little bit slow when I upload too much stuff in the back in the back studio. So let's see what we gonna go with now. I gotta find that other video. So I need a video that's a little bit longer. Okay, I got a Jay-Z video too. Let's see, 60 deal. All right, let's do this. Peace, Chris, what's good? How you doing? Good to see you. Bobby, what's good? Chance, what's good? Happy to have you guys with us. All right, let's do this.
Wow, that's not a real baby. These are hyper-realistic dolls, and all around the world, grown women are falling in love with them. After going down the rabbit hole on this phenomenon for months, I decided to head to one of the largest doll shows in the world to understand what this is all about.
So if I were to buy this now, it's 10,000.
Yes.
It's a very surreal experience to be here because you are just surrounded by babies, newborns, toddlers looking at you. And there are lots of people here pushing their baby dolls around in pushchairs, carrying them in slings.
I live alone, and babies is my hobby.
Do you enjoy carrying her in a sling like
Yes,
this?
it's my therapy baby. And when I say it's my therapy baby, they don't think you're crazy.
The term reborn first came into play in the 90s when doll aficionados in the US started adding more realistic features to factory-made dolls. Now reborns are handmade from scratch using vinyl or silicone, and they've become a booming industry.
And at the moment here, the baby's chest is breathing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
With reborns.com, just one of several retail websites, saying it sells on average dozens a day. These days, the reborn community is mainly split into two camps, art and therapy.
So, she said art and therapy, right? So, is that weird enough for you guys? And you know, remember we've seen in different ways where they are introducing these women now that look, you know, super real, surreal, that men can, you know, take home and have their way with, right? You know, sexually and otherwise, right? Just to have a companion. And I think all of that, right? Art, therapy, you know, companionship. All of those things are relative, right? In terms of like having a fake doll as represented as a woman, in terms of having a fake doll represented as a child, right? There's a loneliness epidemic, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But in that loneliness epidemic, this is where, you know, the Andrew Tates of the world, when it comes to men in particular, we've heard all of this conversation about how there's so many men out here who are not, you know, who are not having sex, who are not able to relate to girls and to women. They're dealing with depression. They're dealing with anxiety. Well, a lot of that is you guys projecting, first of all. And if the young, you know, regular 13-year-old white boy in, you know, Nebraska would just like the regular girl that likes him, that goes to his school, that he probably doesn't pay attention to, instead of like trying to go after an Instagram OnlyFans model, then maybe we will be having a different conversation. But social media now has changed the dichotomy of how girls and boys and men and women are relating. And so there's so much projection in that world, the Andrew Tate and people who, you know, that y'all know what it is, in that space, that are projecting all of this, instead of just telling boys to, you know, to be disciplined or to work on, you know, going to school or to work on getting the grades. And some of these guys don't get me wrong, but they're also like, oh my God, we have a, you know, and there's an epidemic and there's something wrong and it's all the women's problem. It's just like, there's not a lot of speaking life. It's all like pointing fingers in the blame game, et cetera, et cetera. So coming back to the subject, because I don't know why I went there. We had the very, very lifelike versions of the women dolls, the silicone versions of those. We have the very, very lifelike versions of dolls, right? They said these dolls are $10,000 a piece. And they said that these women are using them for art and therapy. right? And if the word reborn was used, which I thought was really interesting, right? I was on a phone call last night and we were talking about the flag for transgender, the transgender flag. And I broke all of the LGBTQ flags down before in a previous episode, but it blew me away when I looked at, not last night, but when I looked at this before, the flag for, transgenderism, if you will. And the flag is blue, pink, white, blue, pink, white, pink, blue. And so I was like, why are they using pink and blue, right? What is that about? So when I looked it up, the pink and blue reference baby boy and baby girl. And they don't give it any credence. It's not like, even if whatever explanation they gave wouldn't have made any sense anyway. But there's no context that's like, oh, okay, I don't agree with that, but that kind of makes sense. It's just like, yeah, the blue is for baby boys and the pink is for baby girls and then the white is for intersex. And I'm like, okay. And then they talk about, the reborn, quote, that word again, this reborn aspect of being born in a certain type of body and then having this sort of coming out experience, if you will, where you go through this metamorphosis and this change, right? So, but again, I'm like, why are infants involved in this? Leave the babies out of this shit. So putting that in context, because remember I said that all of the hoopla, and the role that Obama played, he played a major role in terms of sort of spearheading the LGBTQ, making that conversation and that argument and that dichotomy part of the collective consciousness, and that was one of his roles, right? And so it's like, it's not really about supporting or uplifting the LGBTQ community. It's about making transgenderism acceptable, putting in laws, putting in stipulations, putting in social conditions, normalizing, right? All of the things, because there's transgenderism, but the real goal is transhumanism, right? And so we have that part in context with babies that look real, but I'm totally creeped out, right? The females who look real, but I'm totally creeped out, right? This is a slow, steady progression into creating a new sort of representation of humanity, if you will. And then you add the technology that they have implemented in billions of people across the world. And that's another story for another time, right? And then you think about that in context of, I think it said 1.4 million people in America right now identify as trans, right? And even in the explanation of the flag, they talk about violence, right? Because the violent element is what makes it a point of emphasis, right? It's where the empathy comes in. It's where the compassion is, because people who have human and who are decent don't want to see anybody get hurt, including myself, right? I'm not for that. I'm not violent for violence against trans people. I'm not live and let live, right? But there has to be the violent component to it in order for everybody to sort of take this cause up. But the people who identify as trans in America, they said it was 1.4 million people, but it's like a 0.05% of the population of America. And so how do you get 300 million people, or at least make this a critical component in, again, politics, school systems? Oh, we're going to change the bathrooms and all of this shit, right? How do you do that? You add the violent component. And I'm not saying that a lot of the violence isn't organic, because I was also watching a video of a guy who was saying that he was a woman, who was like saying, yeah, no, I don't have to tell, I'm not telling anybody up front that I'm a woman. When I meet men, I'm a woman. There's no footnote, there's no asterisk, right? And you play that game, is to fuck around and find out. So there's that element of it. And I don't know what the percentage of that is, but it is an element. And then there is an element of, of bias and of hatred and of all of the things, right? So 100%. And again, live and let live. But there is a bigger agenda and a bigger play at hand right now. And so this is how you get the masses sort of galvanized, where they make this their focus, right? This is a thing that we all need to come in, tap in, and be in, because of violence towards trans people. But there's violent, let me not even get into that. I'm just making the point. $10,000 for a creepy, weird looking fake baby, and see the ultimate goal is to have these dolls to be ran and operated and governed by artificial intelligence. And if you watch the movies, all of the movies that came the 80s, the 90s, 2000, when they were fast forwarding and looking at what the future was going to be like, they all had this representation of of robots and of robotic sort of humans that were able to function and do the things that humans do. So yeah, we're not doing that. But the righteous ones, the people who are the ones who are paying attention. I can't speak for anybody and everybody else. And even interestingly, going back to the Kanye West video where he's sitting and then these, people that are dressed like astronauts come and pick him up, and he has on the mask of he has on his face, and then they take the mask off, which is his face, which I thought was really interesting and symbolic, because the representation, whoever Kanye West is and how he's been showing up in the world, has been really, really, really strange in the last few years. Is that him? That looks like him. That don't look like him. He acts like him. He ain't acting like him. It's some really weird shit going on in Hollywood culture right now. Maybe one day I'll do like a real in-depth expose about it. I don't believe in cloning, quote unquote. And I only say that because I'm not emphasizing or referencing anything I can't prove. I'm not gonna really be trying to like make a point about something that I can't prove. So yeah, but the jury is still out. And even Jim Carrey, right? Jim Carrey looks very, 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 very strange right now. So, but I want to get into all of that again. Taking his face off, putting an alien mask on him, right? Which could mean a lot of different things. And then Travis Scott, when he comes in and does his part, he's got the alien mask on, and he's got the alien mask on, and he takes the mask off and represents his real face. And now he's rewarded with two wives, right? Two black wives at that, which I don't think Travis Scott is interested in black wives at all. But that's another conversation for another time. So yeah. And the whole time, Michael Jackson is sitting in the back, just looking just super stoic. Not him, but his representation. And then they had the horse. That's why I brought that up. They had the horse with the soldier, the knight in full regalia on, right? But it was giving me apocalyptic 4 horses in the Book of Revelation, right? So we know Kanye, the real Kanye, has been fighting for his soul and fighting for his spirit for a long time now. And so, again, 2026, 2027, this is when the major humiliation rituals for these rappers, these artists, these entertainers, these people who are bound by soul contracts is getting ready to turn up in a major way. And I'm going to talk about Jay-Z again in just a second, just to give more context on what we talked about in the previous video. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But let me remove this video and let me add the next. Uno momento, por favor. Peace and love. Hitchiel, what's good? How you doing? The Collective Visionary was good. Happy to have you. Tyrone was good. Peace, George from Alabama. Very happy to have you with us. All right, so I'm going to play this video by Larry Johnson. He is a former NFL athlete. I've played his videos in my content before. He is, former NFL player. Again, his claim to fame, at least in this era, is exposing professional sports, but also exposing the gematria and ... all the things, right? I have to say this just because, I don't always agree with everything that he says. Maybe I'll just save it for his context. But what I saw in that Jay-Z interview, when I finally got a chance to watch it, it was a softball interview for sure. And that young brother didn't ask him any serious questions. Everything was just like really soft, safe questions. Nobody asked him about Desiree Perez and her daughter suing Rock Nation. Nobody asked him about the fact that his son Ramir was recently, I need to look that up, recently got really, really sick. And a couple of days right before and I'm saying his son, I should say allegedly, because he's ducking and dodging a paternity test on that. And we know why he's doing that, because his mother was allegedly 15 years old when the child was conceived. It was a long time ago, so I don't even know if the statute of limitations or how that works. I just don't think he wants to claim him, because then his son has a rightful heir to the throne, as well as his mother being 15. So I'll play that video in a second. Well, let's just play that video now.
By saying this, I do not have beef with this man or his wife. They have always treated me with respect and hospitality. He even supported me when no other brands at the time of my professional career would touch me. I have no regrets with my involvement with Rockaware, Team Rock, and the relationships I've formed. But those things had to die off because I choose a different path. He chose the darkness and Satan. I chose light in Yahuwah. So let's get into this interview, which I thought was hilarious. Right off bat, they told you exactly who he is. People are trying to break down why he had this Congolese mask and how it meant for the struggle or how it meant for the culture. They don't care about who they are as far as their identity. They're never going to tell you who they truly are or who we truly are. But they know, and they chose a side to be subjugated. He got his hands in the pyramid here. He got his hands in the pyramid here for the photo shoot. His thumbs in the pyramid here for the photo shoot. And of course, you see the Eye of Horus or the Eye of Ra, which is the one-eye symbolism that is all connected to Freemasonry or Prince Hall Freemasonry. As you can see here, it's all esoteric knowledge. They go from black and then they go from white in one 35-minute video. The interviews wearing a black hat with a white background. Then he wears a white hat and a black background, just like the floor in York Rite, Scottish Rite, and Prince Hall Freemason lodges is the checkerboard flag. So the very first part of the interview, he wanted to jump into what happened to him as being accused of raping a young woman. He didn't really go into it because the interviewer was selected for a particular reason, and he wasn't going to give him any hard questions where he couldn't handle it. But all you have to see is what he's been propagating throughout his career. I mean, no one is out here really wearing "do what thou wilt," which is a quote by Aleister Crowley. If you know anything about Aleister Crowley, he was a high-level Freemason who believed in sex magic. He meant drugging young children so they could achieve spiritual enlightenment. In theory and practice, in the Book of Magic, he even admits that in order to achieve this higher level of spirituality, that you go after a young white male or a young male child.
Yeah, so I wanted you to talk a little bit about this idea of like you said earlier, like the things that you do for the culture, the ways that you put on, the ways that you try to protect and move forward, but kind of the pushback that you get sometimes about like people throw capitalists at you. And
so let me pause that for a second, because the algorithm will pick it up and GQ will strike my channel. So play a little bit of the actual interview and then I'll pause it for a second and then let me just restart it again.
Derogatory sense.
Yeah, I think in that verse specifically, the only thing I heard coming up was the American dream until we started being successful. And it was like, wait a minute, you're selling out because you're making money. That was the first thing that was put on musicians. Like, no, I make art first. And then I make sure that I'm compensated for my art. I didn't take advantage of it.
Look at his hands. And he's sitting there very, 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 very still and holding that hand. That's intentional. You know, Black people, we talk with our hands, you know? And so he's very intentionally holding that hand sign, that mudra, right? That whole entire time. And what my friend pointed out to me when we were talking the other day is that in the beginning, when he's wearing the white with the black and the way that the cap is, he's dressed like a Hasidic Jew. Now go back and watch the video, the interview again at the very beginning and look at how he's dressed and then look at an image of a Hasidic Jew. He's dressed literally like a Hasidic Jew, but let's carry on.
I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take it, no one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people or taking advantage of, you know, the loopholes in the system or some wrinkle in like a capitalist structure.
This is where it gets a little...
I'm sorry, my brother, but selling crack cocaine is a loophole in the system. It is. We all come from the hood. We know what it is. You got to do what you got to do to get where you want to go. But selling crack cocaine is a loophole in the system, meaning the same way that you went out and got a bag and went out in the streets and did what you had to do in order to, get where you wanted to go. There was 1,000 other young brothers and young Black men, or, who were up and coming, that were in the streets, who found a way to do it without selling crack cocaine, just like there's plenty of women who find a way to pay their way through college without being strippers. No disrespect to the strippers, but yeah, it's a loophole. Selling crack is a loophole. And that's how you became affluent or well-known in your environment. That's how you became a baller, right? And then that transitioned into your career, but it also was heavily, it was a heavy part of your music. You were promoting it the whole entire time.
And this is why I don't think there are true Prince Hall billionaires. He signed a 10-year, $150 million, 360 deal to Live Nation in 2008, then came back 2017 to sign another 10-year deal, a 360 deal with $200 million. These are the architects of this so-called 360 deal. It is structured, often leads to financial exploitation. So if he's a billionaire, then these men got to be trillionaires, because there's no way they would give that much freedom to any Black artist to control their entertainment, control their license, control who they are, control the money they make from touring without any of these guys having their hands in it. The top guy is Hanson, is a manager of former rock bands. Everybody knows Leo Cohen, and these two Tennessee lawyers are the ones that put together the 360 deal. You think when they put this deal together, it was to give artists rights and control over their artwork? No, it's literally financial slavery. They need you Negroes to believe that they are billionaires, so you keep going into this industry and then getting exposed, and then knowing that you have to open up your rectum or your prostate in order to elevate into getting a billionaire status. They don't tell you the other side of these deals.
You can get as many degrees as you want, but it's just like trying to get all the degrees you want, but you still got a ceiling. He can't go but so high because the people that he worshiping, that he kissing their ass and letting them fill him up and shit, they don't know shit. He's involved with this shit, man.
So the reason why they pick drug dealers is because if you can sell poison to your own people and destroy them, it ain't nothing for you to do it and say it over a beat. So basically used him. He was literally the least percentage of owning the Brooklyn Nets. But the reason why they put him up here with the owner, because they needed him to be an image to get people out of their housing. So you glossed over the fact that, this is a Black man in the corporate white world, really being an image and a representation of us, that you can make it out of the hood and you can clean up your past and you could be right up there with the big dogs. No, they were kicking people out of their homes in Brooklyn. Anybody who's attached to masonry, it's the cult of Baal. They believe in sex worship and human sacrificing. So he quit rap or retired from.
He said Baal, but he's talking about Baal, and we've been talking about Baal and that demonic entity, if you will. So I feel like everybody, in my audience is familiar with that. But he also talked about anybody connected to masonry is ... That's not true. And on a, in terms of the infrastructure of, the Masonic temples, if you will, and people who identify as Masons, Eastern Stars or whatnot, there's a lot of people in that world that never get past the ceiling. They have no idea what it's really about. They think it's about going to the judge or getting pulled over by a police officer and being able to flash a sign. If you see somebody with a Masonic sticker on their car, like, yes, they're not operating in the same bandwidth of consciousness as somebody that is at the top of the pyramid that's involved in, the pharmaceutical industry, for instance. So there's a lot of people who, and I know because I've had this conversation plenty of times where I'm versed in that world. And so if you tell me, or I get the inclination, yeah, I'm going to start asking questions. But I'm asking informed questions, right? Because the whole concept of, Hiram Abiff being buried in a shallow grave and sort of the backdrop of that ideology is really rooted in scriptures. And the original Masonic, temples, if you will, or the concept of Masonry originally comes from Kemet. So once again, they always bastardize something that was organic in the beginning and then turn it into something else, right? And a lot of this stuff happened between the conquistadors and the war between the Muslims and the Christians, in which it was really a black versus white war in the bigger scheme of things, but it was also religion. So a lot of this started to happen where they were building these underground secret societies intentionally because they recognized that the Moors brought light and consciousness up into Europe and pulled them out of the dark ages. And they wanted to have that light and retain that light for themselves, but also to be able to take over the world. There's a lot more to that. History is always multi-layered. But I'm saying all of that to say that there's some, your uncle who's like 65 and who is a Mason and, who might have flashed a sign when he went to go get he got a ticket at the courthouse, or, brothers who are pledging in Greek fraternities and then turn around and maybe have some connections where it's about networking. A lot of these people have no idea. They never get past a certain phase because in the initiation process, they're going to test you and see if you will see what you are capable of in terms of how far you're willing to go. And most people are not willing to go that extra level. And then they're not even going to test a lot of them because they don't have the qualities that they're looking for, right? So I just want to say that because a lot of times I see people, especially these people online who are like exposing the quote unquote Illuminati, where they're like, they just use this word masonry and kind of paint this huge picture, and it's there's nuances to it though, right? There's layers and levels to this. There's plenty of people who are identify as what we would call Masons that have no idea about a lot of this shit going on. Okay, so yes.
Rap, a little short under 2005. His nephew, which he was close with, he was the one that was sacrificed. Then he came out of retirement, October 27th. And then he came out with Kingdom Come, and Khalik is featured on Lost Ones. He thought that he could live his art outside of control. And that's why they funneled him back in to Masonry.
When you say they, like, who is that?
Whatever the
You know who they is. Now this is the image right here with where he looks like where he's dressed like a Hasidic Jew. And if I had thought about it, I would have put up a picture so we can look at a side by side just for context, because they have the black headpiece on, but then they have the little curly things down the side, right? Okay, so, and I'm stopping this when the interview part starts. I'm stopping it intentionally because I'm trying not to get the video flagged. But if you guys watch this replay and there's like pieces of this interview removed, it's because they put a strike on the video because I use GQ's content. So I'll have that removed and then re-upload it, not re-upload it, but just for context, that's why I keep stopping it.
threat to however the system is set up to keep things at status quo, and keep us in a position of using words like allow. So anyone that's culpable in creating the system that we operate under, that's they.
Yeah.
That's they.
Everybody know who they is. They can't do anything without allowance. That means your Christ Scottish Rite allow them to put out a certain image. Jewish mysticism or the Talmud allows them to get away with certain rituals and rites because that's their form of passage to elevate themselves through degrees. It has to involve children. It has to involve sexuality. It has to involve blood sacrificing.
You said something just now, though, about you pushing independence, right? Kind of like in the spirit of Prince. When you embody that, do you feel like you are kind of setting a mold or leading a charge for like what the successful black man is allowed to do, and like breaking these spaces, breaking these confines?
Yeah. I even want you to take that out of your vocabulary.
Take what?
Allowed,
Now I'm seeing people reshare this clip, which, this was a jewel that he said, but there's a billion people saying that shit online all the time online, right? Your words have power. Be careful, be mindful. But it's just like, I don't know. I guess it's a good thing, but I'm also just like, okay. So let me let it play.
Saying we're not allowed to do anything. In order for someone to allow you, they have to have authority over you.
Can't go but so high because the people that he worshiping, that he kissing their ass and letting them fill them up and shit, they don't know shit.
At the end of the day, they're slipped in there to be gatekeepers for the black community. That is all. Regardless if he says that there's a problem with the alt-right or people going to Republican, he seems to forget that Trump pardoned a snitch that is on his team.
Facts.
So they flip-flop back and forth, and they don't think you guys can readily identify when they're lying or not because y'all so mesmerized by the artwork, which is why they put everything as visuals and music in front of you Negroes' faces, because you can't readily discern if it's masonry, Luciferianism, Satanism, or if it's righteous. And because you had ever seen any image of righteousness on the television, you are fooled by whatever image they give you. So let me start off.
So, Yamisi says, I'm an initiate in the craft of Amun Ra. I'm a third degree Nuwapian Freemason. The science of Freemasonry is the spiritual struggle of the everyday Black man. I think the original science, what I reference about Hiram Abiff being, buried in a shallow grave and put to sleep for a certain amount of time, the original science is the spiritual struggle. And it's not just of the Black man, it's of Black people in particular and Black people in America in particular. And that's why the whole concept of being buried in a shallow grave for a specific amount of time until it was time to wake up is representative. But and that's why I referenced when you said, the Nuwapians, obviously I said Kemet, that original science is a Kemetic science, but it's been bastardized now. It's been, what's the word I'm looking for? It's been inverted now. Just like people who say, oh, the cross is original African Kemetic symbol. Or, when they talk about certain representations of certain symbology that was original to indigenous cultures or African cultures. Yeah, but if they're using that shit for child sacrifices now, that's not going to be something I'm going to be wearing on my body. Right. And so, and I'm not saying that particular to you. I'm saying that in terms of like signs and symbols and how these people use original organic, symbolism to cast spells and to run the world. I'm looking at a book right now called, I will show it. Well, I have my computer propped up on this book, but Aleister Crowley's 4 Books of Magic. And it's a book that's this big. I'll show it to you guys in just a second. I need to find something else to prop this up. But so, yeah, we're talking about Pharaoh's magicians here. OK, and so even when people say the swastika, they go and look at the swastika being a sign. And, you can find the swastika in certain Kemetic temples or in certain places in Africa. OK, but now it belongs to the Nazis. Let's let them have that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's just something that I wanted to contextualize. And then let me show this other video real quick, because how he was talking about the mask, right? The Congolese mask. And I saw this video, and this is just to show the different layers and levels of consciousness, right? And how this thing plays out.
Talk about this African mask Jay-Z's holding on the cover of GQ magazine. First of all, shout out to Jay-Z, Rashid Johnson. But this is not some random mask. This is an authentic Kifwebe mask from the Sonye people of Congo, where I'm from. But it's a female version, we call it Bakashi. So you would call this a Kifwebe Bakashi. This mask is used as a symbol of authority and spiritual control. By holding the mask like this, Jay-Z is telling you he stands behind a woman as a cultural authority, and she is someone who commands respect and spiritual power. Okay? And yeah, you see that fabric behind him? That's a Kuba cloth, also from Congo. Jay is really bigging up Congo on this one. Appreciate the love, man, big bro.
So we'll play this again.
Let's talk about this African mask Jay-Z's holding on the cover of GQ magazine. First of all, shout out to Jay-Z, Rashid Johnson. But this is not some random mask. This is an authentic Kifwebe mask from the Sonye people of Congo, where I'm from. But it's a female version, we call it Bakashi. So you would call this a Kifwebe Bakashi. This mask is used as a symbol of authority and spiritual control. By holding the mask like this, Jay-Z is telling you he stands behind a woman.
So spiritual authority and control, and then he stands behind a woman, right? Referencing his wife, right? Beyonce is not running that relationship. I don't at all. Like, I think Jay-Z is her handler for sure. And they probably, maybe they fell in love eventually. You know, there's levels to this, whether this was an arranged marriage or not, that's another conversation. But like the idea that he is making this point about standing behind his wife using a Congolese mask, no disrespect to this brother, because this is the thing, you know, truth, both things can be true, right? They give you truth. They always have to attach themselves to organic, real, true, you know, knowledge and history and culture and us, right? And so, but at the same time, what the mask actually represents, and let me just pull it back up to where we can see that particular image.
As a cultural authority, and she is someone who commands respect and spiritual power.
No, she does not have spiritual power. She has spiritual power in their world. She has spiritual power in Hollywood. In real time, in the real world.
Okay. And yeah, you see that fabric behind him? That's a Kuba cloth.
She had real power in the real world. She would, you know, that 13-year-old accusation in all of these different ways that his name is swirling and is going to continue to swirl. Yeah, it would be nullifying that shit. It's one thing to have to fight a war. It's, you know, spiritual wars get fought before the war ever starts. So what's really happening here is that mask is covering up one of his face and he's showing that one eye. And they're using the mask and they're using the cultural representation because we tune in. This is how they get us to tune in. You know, oh, he's bigging up the Congolese people. Yes, Jay-Z is for the people. No, he's not. This right here is that one eye. This is showing affiliation. This is showing control.
Also from Congo. Jay is really bigging up Congo on this one.
No, he's not, respectfully. Now let's show this GQ. These images from GQ, from the magazine. Peace and love to everybody tapping in the chat room. I'll come back and check in with you guys in just a minute. Oh, hell no. Don't tell me I don't have this picture. Bruh. All right, hold on. Let me pull it up real quick. Even when I put in Jay-Z, Jay-Z, I put in Jay-Z, GQ. This image didn't even like readily come up, but hold on, let me see. No, that's not what I want to do. I just want the picture. All right, so here we go. So the image on the right is the image from the GQ magazine, and this is not a very good pixelated picture. Again, I just pulled this off the internet. Nah, that ain't a good picture. Hold on, let me find another one. 1 second, you guys. GQ. Trying to find a good image where you guys can see it clearly. Even the fact that I searched this and this image isn't the first thing that comes up is like, yeah, because their machinery in terms of controlling the algorithm and you know, and what pops up when you search certain things and whatnot is definitely top tier. Okay, so this is a better one. So let me save this and I'll close this out and let me pull this back up. Shout out to everybody just joining us. Thank you guys so much for being here with me on a Sunday evening. It is 9:43 Pacific Standard Time, and I'm very happy to have you guys with me. Again, the link for all of my books, all of my content, all the things can be found. Oh, damn. Hold on. Now this is pissing me off. Can be found in the description. Cash App information is in the description. Make sure you guys show some love. Like this video, please, so that you can help me to get my algorithm game up. I'm going to try to pull this up one more time because this is irritating me. Okay, is this a better one? Let's see. Hold on, you guys, 1 second. Damn it, why are all these pictures have such low pixelations? It's like, come on, y'all, this ain't rocket science. Let me get what I need so I can get up out of here, you know? Okay, this is a better one, I think. Let me just screenshot it to make sure. I don't have time to be playing the games with this internet. This is the thing about like being a researcher now and putting content together. There's so much smoke and mirrors online. You really got to like fish through a lot of this stuff to get to the nitty gritty. All right, let's see. Thank you guys for your patience. And let me just pull this up. Damn it. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is one of the images that are in the GQ shoot of him. And if anybody thinks that Jay-Z actually wanted to take this picture, like this was his idea, like, come on, bro. What is this actually saying? So let's just pull up this second image, right? That gives us a little more context on what's going on here. So, and I don't even think I can put these side by side either. So you see him here, right? And it also actually looks like he's in a electric chair, right? And so now look at this image. Peace, Foxy. How you doing? Peace, Lady Bell. What's good? How you doing, sis? Those two, okay. Jay-Z is an Ansar. Oh, God bless your heart. Maybe the mask is meant to say that Jay-Z is a woman and trans man. No, I don't think that. Yeah, it looks like he's in an electric chair, exactly. In the change of tech that a lot of images are burning. It's the change of tech. A lot of images are burning out. I honestly think it has something to do with the grid. I was having trouble as well. Where am I at? I am, oh, you mean me? You actually seeing me? I'm right here. So you see this image, this representation here, right? And then here's another one. All right. And so these are torturous type of images and representations, right? And remember what the brother Larry Johnson said in terms of, you know, the sacrificial abusive element, right, that they use in this world to control people. And then Stormy, I forget her name. Stormy Ellie is, I think, her name. I pulled this off of her page. And she was making the correlation between these images that I just showed you guys, and then a piece of art that was done by Velasquez portrait. It's called Again and Again. He had nothing against the Pope. This is that torturous painting that I showed you guys is actually a painting of a pope. Said he has nothing against popes, but merely sought an excuse to use these colors. And you can't give ordinary colors that purple color without getting into a sort of false fauve manner. At the time, Bacon was coming to terms with the death of a cold disciplinarian father, his early illicit sexual encounters, and a very destructive sadomasochistic approach to sex. Almost all of the popes are depicted within cage-like structures, screaming or about to scream. Bacon identified as a Nietzschean and atheist, and some contemporary critics saw the series as a symbolic execution scenes as if Bacon sought to enact Nietzsche's declaration that God is dead by killing his representative on Earth. Other critics see the series as symbolizing the killing of the father, and this, in occultic terms, could be represented as a resurrection or being reborn, right? So again, there's spiritual layers and a spiritual dichotomy to this. So the implication that Beyonce is a spiritual authority that is actually standing in front of Jay-Z, that is actually leading him in any capacity, is insanity. Remember when I showed you guys the imagery of the Pope? I should pull that up. Should I pull that up? Well, the imagery of the Pope, where he sits in his when he does his Sunday services, there is a very big statue. It's almost the size of, probably like the size of a huge movie screen, and it is of what looks like dragons and reptilians, right? And then one of the main image is supposed to be an image of Jesus, and half of his face and half of his body is human, and the other half of his face and his body is reptilian, right? So remember, going back to what I said about transhumanism, then we've got Baal and Moloch and all of these other, elements. And then we've got the reptilian concept, which is a multi-level thing, because we talk about shape shifting and whether that's true or not, that aspect of it. But then we also have the reptilian brain, right? And so spiritually, symbolically, that reptilian brain, manifests in reality as being in submission to your lower nature, right? Letting your sexual urges rule you, letting your self-hatred rule you, letting, the powers that be of this world, submitting to a lesser God, so to speak, which is what you do all the time. When you submit to your lower nature, if you submit to Baal, if you submit to Moloch, if you submit to Lucifer, if you submit to Satan, not in a ritualistic religious ways, although that is relative to, going back to what we talked about in the Masonic element, but in your day-to-day life. And this is why first of all, I don't like to talk about celebrities a lot, because people get honed in on a celebrity and completely miss the point, which I don't care about none of this shit if we can't make a bigger point and make it make sense in terms of what's happening in the world, right? Who cares? Jay-Z ain't, his life and his world don't have nothing to do with my reality. But on a deeper level, the spiritual context of this is that the devil gets in through our inability to control our lower nature, through the way we eat, through the way we think, through the way we treat ourselves, through the things that we can't master or control, be it sexual urges, be it eating, be it negative self-talk, be it, being a hater, being that jealous frequency, that jealous energy, right? Which is exasperated through social media, through, again, the way you treat yourself, the way you handle yourself. So macrocosm and microcosm. And Zbigniew Brzezinski, say that 10 times, said that it's easier to control 1 million people through one person than it is to control 1 million people. And so this is why Jay-Z, yes, he is a gatekeeper. Yes, he's playing the position he plays in terms of hip hop and the Black culture, but he's also he's also in a real spiritual war right now. And that spiritual war is playing out in Hollywood and celebrity on the macro level, but then it's also playing out on a micro level. And how do we know? Because in 2022, when the devil was at everybody's door, people lined up to get that Jim Jones juice, which is, remember the role that Rock Nation played in that. Having a big job fair in New York and Brooklyn, and anybody 12 and up could come, as long as you took your shots. So there's nuances to this, Let me see. Did I make the point about him? Okay, I showed the Congo. Showed the image. I showed that. Yes, I did. All right, cool. And remember, most people don't know. I didn't even know Jay-Z was in a 360 deal. I had no idea Jay-Z was in the 360 deal. You said somebody said she's talking with bottom teeth, means she has dentures like her husband, Billy Carson. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you talking about me and talking with bottom teeth? Is that what you're referring? What are you talking about? And whose husband is Billy Carson? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
People are getting a real kick out of Iran trolling America. And so they're putting out all these videos, Lego videos and whatnot, where like that one, right? And it's cute, and the song has a ring to it. I'm assuming it's an AI ring to it. But I'm reading the comments, and like there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are basically cheering this on, that are basically like, yeah, this should go viral in the United States. This is a bop, whatever. And it's just like, we don't realize, again, I always talk about the subtleties of war. We don't realize the way the propaganda machine is working right now. This is a propaganda war as well as, the context of a physical war. And so they're neutralizing people's response to war. It's a cartoon now. It's a catchy hook, right? There's nothing funny about war in any capacity. If we're talking about a school was blown up and some 160 girls were taken out, and this is how this whole thing actually started, there's nothing funny about any of this shit. Why don't you come have a conversation with me live? Who talks with their upper teeth? What the fuck are you even talking about? Let me give you the link for you to come talk to me, and let me let you come talk and you show your upper teeth, smart ass. Because what are you even talking about? Why are you even looking at my mouth like that? Weirdo. Now you come, bring your ass on the conversation with me, and let me see your face and let's see you talk. I have a problem with showing my teeth. It's just the way I'm actually talking in this conversation. I smile all the time. Click the link and come have a conversation with me face to face, and let's see what you're talking about. Don't ask me why I give energy to certain things. This is my platform because I want to. That's what I thought. You're saying no stupid shit like that in my chat room. Smart ass. Don't play with me. Don't ask me why I'm mad. Don't try to trigger me and then ask me why I'm mad. Ask why are you scared? And don't see, this is where y'all really upset me. Oh, this is where you guys upset me. Don't be gullible, folks. Stay focused. So who are we talking to? I respond to what I want to respond to. I address what I want to address. This is my show. If somebody says something half-cocked to me in my chat room and I address it, the only thing I need for my tribe to do is back me up. Don't tell me what to talk about. That really irritates me. So again, going back to this concept of now, it's like really de-emphasizing the shock and awe of war. But again, everybody thinks that this is so cute and this is so funny. There's nothing funny about war, especially a war that started out with a school being blown up. They're trying to desensitize you guys. So again, in the pyramid, there's I think all of these people on a certain level are playing the same game. The goal is one world government. Not like one world government and then China's over here and then Japan is over there and North Korea's over there, and the sort of outliers are not a part of the one world government. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're not funny. I'm gonna block you in my comments. And so if you have courage, the link to join me live, you can join me live and then you can come say whatever you have to say live, but don't play with me. Billy Carson was married to Elizabeth. Why are we talking about Billy Carson? I get you responding to that person, but whoever it is knows damn well I'm not involved with Billy Carson at all. So yeah. Normalization to the third degree. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So okay, let me bring up my next video here. I still got to go and download that video, that brother talking about, because I want to close with that. I was 13 and she was 23. All right, let's do this. In the meantime and in between time, yeah, the fire can't get activated. This is what I'm saying. I'm a lover and a fighter. I think you guys forget that sometimes. You know what I mean? There's too much weird shit going on in our culture, and we let way too much disrespect slide. And I'm just not that girl. I will address it.
Republicans in the Senate turned on Trump and voted unanimously with Democrats to fully pay TSA agents after.
It's all good, Phil. I didn't mean to, pardon my passion. It's not directly towards you in particular. It's just, it's all good.
40 fucking days of a government shutdown. And they turned on Trump because they specifically excluded money for ICE and Border Patrol. But that's not even the real story. The real story is why this happened. Why Republicans turned on Trump and voted unanimously with Democrats. And the reason why is because Delta Airlines canceled all special perks and services for all Congress members until they voted to fully fund TSA agents. And because TMZ also urged everybody to send them pictures of any and every congressperson who was seen on vacation while TSA agents were literally suffering with no pay. And that was a lesson right there. The fact that Trump was never the pressure point, he was always the shield. Every time Trump wanted to do something like the big beautiful bill that gave trillions in tax cuts to the ultra rich, or when he bombed Iran and Republicans in Congress wouldn't tell him that he didn't have the authority to do it. Republicans in Congress have always hid behind Trump's bullshit for years. He absorbs the outrage, takes the heat, and they get to shrug and say that, what can we do about it? Or, I didn't see it, I don't know anything about it. But the moment the consequences landed on them personally, they fucking folded. The reality is that Trump is a fucking narcissist. He genuinely does not process public humiliation the same way that normal people do. It actually fuels him. But Republicans who aren't term limited, oh, they fucking care deeply about their reputation, their comfort, and their status. They just never really had to defend it directly because Trump always got the heat. This vote revealed the architecture of the system, and it works like this. Trump does the unpopular thing, the outrage goes to Trump. Republicans in Congress who can stop it act stupid, and nobody's perks get touched. They rinse and repeat this for years, and Trump always gets away with it. The TSA situation broke that architecture because Trump wasn't the fucking variable. Congress was. And the second that happened, boom, a unanimous motherfucking vote. So the question is, what if we stopped trying to move Trump and started making Congress own every single fucking decision? And I'm not just talking about call your congressman. I'm also talking about forcing these corporations to turn on government. We're talking about Delta level consequences, TMZ level public targeting, making every Republican senator who votes to gut Medicaid explain it at their airport gate. Make them own the deportations. Make them own the cuts. By name, in public, where their lives are. Trump will never fold.
So I'm so sorry. And that ends right, but it paused for a second so we can just, because he wasn't really it's like probably 5 seconds left. He said the reason why is because, Congress, vacation, and TMC. This is why I show these videos, because this is just like this. We are so far from what's actually happening. This is not this is all smoke and mirrors, bro. This is problem, reaction, solution. Since this man's been in office, this has happened like 30 times now. How are we not getting the play? Problem, reaction, solution. What's the problem? Government shut down. Why did the government shut down? ... What's the reaction? We got to bring ICE in to the airports now because the TSA aren't able to work because they aren't getting paid. And now we got ICE in here coming in as antagonists and pissing people off and all of the things, right? Long 3, 4, 5 hour lines because they intentionally want to make the travel, specifically the airline industry, they want to make it inconvenient for us, right? So the reaction is, the marching, no kings protest again, right? Again, hundreds of thousands of people show up again for a protest today. I'm not mad at that. I'm not anti-protesting. You'll never see me out there. But I'm not mad at protesting. I understand the point. I understand the intention, all of the things. But again, what are you actually protesting? Trump is not running the show, bruh. Exactly. Hegelian dialectic principle. Trump is not running the show, right? And so, you know, it's all smoke and mirrors. This was the goal from the whole entire time. They want organized chaos. I can't pull that video up, you guys, because it's not a shareable video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that up in just a second directly from Instagram. But let me pull my screenshots up real quick, because this is another thing I wanted to reference. All right. I just have to say that because, man, I you know, these are videos that get a lot of responses, and I read the comments. The video is one thing, but reading the comments actually really helps me to like stay abreast with what the people are thinking. And it's just, bruh, like, we have no idea the level these people are playing at. We have no idea the level these people are playing at. Oh my God, it's a thing. So switching gears here a little bit, and when I say we have no level of we have no idea what level these people are playing at. So when we talk about the physical impact of loneliness, right? Now this brings us back to 2020. And this brings us back to when the lockdowns took place. And this brings us back to standing 6 feet apart, right? 666 everywhere. I mean, the symbolic representations of that is just, you know, that part. But then also, like, you know, family ostracizing you and distancing you because you won't conform, or because you won't do this or you won't do that, right? The not being able to visit your friends, not being able to travel, right? It created this real sort of loneliness epidemic because people weren't able to move around and interact the way that they normally would. Then you add the metaverse, right? Then you add this, thank you for saying plandemic and correcting that. I appreciate that. Then you add the metaverse, then you add the social media element, then you add the life-size dolls that we talked about before. They don't want human connection. They don't want loving, fulfilling relationships, not just, you know, between the male-female dichotomy, the family dichotomy, but friendships, community service, right? I've shown you guys the rabbit study multiple times. I pulled it up on my phone so I can just read a short passage, because this is directly correlated to what this says. It says the physical impact of loneliness: stress hormones remain elevated, inflammation increases, immune function decreases, and cardiovascular health deteriorates. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate the love. So the rabbit effect refers to a 1978-1980s cardiovascular study showing that rabbits, despite high cholesterol diets, stayed healthier when nurtured by a nurturing researcher. This study highlights the profound impact of kindness and social environment on physical health, famously explored by Dr. Kelly Harding. The key effects of the study were: researchers found out that one group of rabbits showed unexpectedly low levels of heart disease than others, despite receiving the same high cholesterol food. The differentiator was a laboratory technician who spoke to and stroked them. Pause. Don't get weird with me, but I have to say that because clearly the internet is the place where weirdos dwell. My chat room seems to be a place where they like to come to. The differentiator was a laboratory technician who spoke to and stroked them, in showing the power of social interaction. The findings demonstrated that social factors such as companionship and kindness can physically alter metabolic pathways and reduce heart disease. This study highlights that health is not just about diet and genetics, but is influenced by environment and social interaction. Mind you, when I shared this in my story, and several people responded to me, and one brother responded and was like, this is something I'm really, really dealing with right now. He's getting ready to move and relocate from one place to another. But he just was, and, you know, I responded with some loving and nurturing and, you know, and inspiring words. And he was like, yeah, I feel you, but ... right? So this is a real thing that a lot of people are dealing with. The study became a significant point in understanding how positive emotions and interaction impact overall well-being. The findings indicate that kindness is more important than diet or genetics in determining health, as discussed by Dr. Kelly Harding. Now that's a bar. Let's just pause for a second, right? The kindness is more important than diet or genetics. And I have to say that because we emphasize genetics, right? And rightfully so, because it is a part of the, you know, the broader importance on a physical level, right? But a person can be loved, a person can be nurtured, a person can be, you know, physically touched and hugged, right? And consoled. Like, this is why the importance of the human relationship is so critical. This is also why, again, they're creating fake babies, fake people, fake humans, artificial intelligence. People now are talking to ChatGPT more than they talk to actual human beings. How, Sway? Well, if we look at the average mindset of the average person, maybe I could understand. But, you know, again, it is some, Fatima said, my coworker just told me she felt touch deprived. I gave her a big hug. Yeah, and she should probably start, you know, at least going to get a massage, you know, maybe once a week or something like that. It's not the same as someone touching you who loves you or who cares about you, but still that physical touch is critical because it's moving energy around, right? It's good because it's good for the physical. Who doesn't love a good massage? But it's also moving stagnant energy around the body. And emotions that are not able to be expressed, we're not feeling love, we're not feeling compassion, it gets stuck in the physical body, and it turns into cancer, and it turns into fibroids, and it turns into tumors, and it turns into heart disease, right? It's no surprise. It shouldn't be any surprise to us that one of the biggest issues in the Black community is heart disease. And they still haven't conceptualized that, you know, they related to diet, they related to stress, they related to hormones, and rightfully so. But I think one of the biggest representations of why heart disease is such a big issue in our community is that many, if not most of us, have never been properly loved. A lot of us are not getting enough hugs, getting enough physical stimulation, getting enough, you know, care and compassion and concern amongst each other, right? And so we have an epidemic now. This is a great sort of jewel for people who are in either service-oriented, you know, businesses, or the need for physical activity, outside activity, the need for compassion and things where we come together and actually have real-time, real-world experiences is a major thing right now. So if you're a business owner, if you're thinking about going into a business, you know, masseuses, people who do chi work, you know, Reiki work, energy healing work, right? Massages, right? Like you guys are, the need for your services is a major thing right now. There's nothing in the world better than a good foot massage. Okay. And you can get a foot massage. In Atlanta, I used to go to this place, and I think, well, anyway, that's besides the point. You can get a foot massage anywhere, but service-oriented industries and businesses that focus on bringing people together for different, you know, there's a lot of different things that fall underneath that banner. Yeah, your stock is greatly increasing, and it's about to increase even more, you know? Who's Left Entertainment said, babies perish without physicality. That's a fact. I always wanted to learn to give massage and to transfer foundational energetic wisdom of love and clarity. Yeah, and with that particular industry, you got to be game tight energetically, because there's a transmutation every time you do a massage. Just like there's a transmutation here when I do these videos and this content. It's not a physical thing, but I am talking to you guys and you're talking to me, and you know, you're projecting energy through the screen based on something I say. You might agree with, you might not agree with, right? It might make you feel love and feel happy, or it might make you feel upset, right? This is why a lot of times in the chat room, people get upset with me when I react to when people say certain things to me in the chat room. But what you guys don't realize is that I have a reaction when people say negative or disrespectful things to me. And so it's incumbent upon me to respond and to defend myself if I feel like it in that moment. All I need is your support. Somebody just spat in myself. Somebody just spat in myself. Pause. Somebody just spat in my face. Don't tell me to ignore it. You know, understand why I would have a reaction to somebody saying something that hurt my feelings, or that's disrespectful, or that's trying to take the train of our conversation left, right? So, you know, words are damaging and dangerous. I'm off me now when I'm talking about in the bigger conversation of what we're all dealing with right now. Under extreme stress, I took a picture of the gas station prices when I was walking earlier today. And one of the local gas stations that's usually inexpensive, their lowest gas was like $6.09. You know, so people are living under tremendous levels of stress and anxiety. And by the way, those gas prices are why I was walking where I was walking. Yeah, I can go to the beach, or I can walk in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? But you're not going to stop me going out into the world. And, you know, I don't have to pay the higher gas prices. I work from home. I can move around and do what I want to do when I want to do it, right? And I don't eat 3 meals a day. So there's that. If you are concerned about rising gas prices, rising costs, how can I do this? What can we do? Eat less. Our bodies don't need anywhere near as much food as we actually give them. Children is another story. Elders are a different story. Pregnant women are a different story. But all of us at this point, especially those of us who have knowledge of self, you don't need as much food. You really only need 1 meal a day. 2 max. You know? Somebody said breath work. Yeah, breath work is really, really critical. Again, to control your mind, to control your feelings, to control where you are, and then having discipline, which is something that I talked about in the beginning of the video, and like really reiterating and emphasizing discipline, you know? So let me, I can't pull the video up, so I'm just going to pull it up and watch it with you guys directly from Instagram. So give me just a second to do that. And then I will share my screen. Yes, earthing, 100%. Absolutely. Earthing is critical. Taking your shoes off, taking your shoes and socks off, and putting your feet in the sand, putting your feet in the grass, putting your feet in the dirt, you know, is really critical right now. Let me see. Give me just a second, because I want to show this specific video, because, you know, we talked about the Atlanta Hawks and the whole stripper element and the impact that it's having on our daughters. But I want to make sure we balance that conversation out, because when it comes to Black boys and Black men being SA'd, and this is a real issue in the collective consciousness and in the Black community, it doesn't get enough conversation, because we treat our sons, we over-sexualize our sons. And this is how we end up with, you know, your uncles and your cousins and the older men in your family giving a 10-year-old a Playboy. Right? Or like, you know, magnifying and making pimps heroes in our cultures, right? So these are the men or the people that our sons actually look up to, you know? So let me pull this video up real quick. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. It is 10:18 right now, Pacific Standard Time. So I'm assuming most of you guys are on the West Coast, but I know my family on the East Coast stays up late too. So I'm very happy to have you guys with me. As I always say, I never take for granted the fact that I can turn this computer on and turn the camera on and have 150 people show up and rock with me. I'll never take that for granted. Let me pull up this video real quick. How can I pull this up? Okay, let me just share it from here. Did I hear about D1 getting banned from strip clubs? Yeah, and it was totally useless because he doesn't go to strip clubs, you know? So they're just trying to prove some sort of point. I mean, it's just stupid and weird. Again, adult entertainment is supposed to be for adults. Why is this actually trending? Why are we talking about this like it's actually a big deal? Grown-ups go do grown-up things. This is not something that should be controversial or even something that should get any sort of backlash when it comes to our children. And anybody that actually stood up for that shit is weird. What's up, Louisiana? Very happy to have you. A couple of people from Louisiana. Pittsburgh, what's up, family? Houston, Texas. So yeah, I heard about D1. Make meals that last at least 3 days. Yes, 100%. Peace and love, Nanny. How you doing? Coffee in the morning and dinner at 5 p.m. I'm here for that. I told you a while back that your voice is like a lullaby to me, like my mother, my wife, and Dr. Welsing. I appreciate you so much. Well, I will take that. I will accept that and receive that. And I know sometimes when I get fiery, it's not as soft and as loving and as nurturing, you know. But this is what we misconception. We have a misconception about the divine feminine, and that the divine feminine is only supposed to be nurturing and caring and compassion and all of the things, and it is. But it's also supposed to be critical in a loving way, and you know, and will check you, right? Who would check you better than Big Mama? You know what I mean? And you think about Queen Kali, right? And the whole concept of Kali, and that sort of that fiery, challenging, you know, put some heat up under your ass and dethrone you, right? If need be. So yeah, the divine feminine is not just the yin energy, it's the yang energy too. There's always this polarity, just like the divine masculine is not just the divine masculine. Is also a man who is a divine masculine representation of manhood is going to have his feminine energy, his feminine consciousness in balance with his masculine. What does that mean? It means that you know, a father has to be loving and nurturing to his children, right? A man has to be loving and nurturing to his wife, right? A man has to be loving and nurturing to his parents, right? A man has to love and nurture himself, right? And have empathy and compassion for himself, right? So this is one of the big reasons why this world is so out of whack right now, because we've created and cultivated generations of men that are not in touch with the divine feminine. And don't play with me and think that I'm trying to, you know, talk about effeminizing men or none of that. I feel like I shouldn't even have to say that type of stuff for my audience, so I won't. But yeah, that's a critical element of it, right? East Coast gang, we live. Okay, yes, I'm here for that. So let me share my screen real quick so we can watch this video. Oh, I actually have two videos because they made that vote on slavery, which is another thing that they're doing right now, trying to keep this race-based dichotomy. And I'll play that because since I already have it up, let me just share my screen. Why it's not playing? Oh, maybe I need to take this one down first.
The woman who assaulted me when I was 13 was my brother's girlfriend. Most people don't realize how predators actually move. See, my brother was around 16. She was around 25 years old. Back then, I ain't even realized that relationship was illegal. But where we grew up, things like that was just normal. My brother was already living fast, smoking weed, catching cases, and running the street. So nobody looked at it like a grown woman dating a minor. It was just another relationship in the hood. But here's something else that people say is crazy. When a 13-year-old boy is taken advantage of by an older woman, a lot of people don't even call it abuse. They'll say things like, man, you lucky. You should have enjoyed that. You became a man early. Wish you was me. But a 13-year-old boy is not a man. That's still a child. When a grown adult crosses that line, that is not a fantasy. That's trauma. But here's the part that people miss. Predators just don't choose victims. They study environments. That woman smoked weed and chilled with my mama. She knew my family's patterns. She knew my mother wasn't home much. She knew we really wasn't supervised. She knew it wasn't no protection in that house. So that night she lured me in was not random. She knew exactly when to come around. She knew exactly what she was doing. Predators look for homes that's not protected, homes where adults are distracted, homes where there's a lot of trauma. That's why so many people got stories about an uncle, a step parent, a cousin, or a family friend. See, they watch the house first. They look for gaps. And when parents are moving in a dysfunctional way, those gaps get bigger. See, my mama's trauma and lifestyle didn't just affect her. It lowered the protection around her children. And that opened the door for what happened to me at 13. Parents, hear me clearly when I say this. If you don't deal with your trauma, if you don't break those toxic cycles, your kids can be the ones that pay the price, because predators ain't just looking for children. They looking for unprotected homes. And breaking toxic family cycles ain't just about healing yourself. It's about protecting the next generation. The woman who assaulted me.
So let me just bring myself back up here. So in the same way that I have, for 15 years now, been screaming in the wind about our, lack of focus when it comes to protecting our daughters, it's the same thing with our sons as well. And we now have grown-ass women, and maybe I'll say grown-ass men too, that are actually like driving around with their sons in the car playing Cardi B, right? And playing this very highly sexualized music and not realizing that it's programming their subconscious minds, right? And then, or have you guys seen the video of her on her tour where she's just sitting in a chair, just bouncing up and down and all of that? Whatever that stuff is that they put in them BBLs, is just like, and the crowd is going crazy, and she's doing this everywhere she goes. And I'm just like, this looks disgusting, first of all. Why does the crowd go crazy when they twerk and put their asses in front of them? I don't understand that either, especially an audience full of women, but okay. So imagine what it's like for our sons to grow up in this type of highly sexualized, highly charged environments. And then like he talked about, a lot of these men who experience those type of things start having questions and challenges about their sexuality. So, that study needs to be done. I appreciate you, Anunab. I appreciate you guys in the chat room. Thank you so much for the love. There's fire in all the women I've mentioned, real deal. Did you hear 3 million? Hold on. What's up, Ohio? Peace and love. Thank you for being here. Home of Breonna Taylor. Philly was good. Kentucky was good. Louisiana was good. Pittsburgh was good. Did you hear the $3 million awarded to someone on social media for social media being addictive? I did. And yes, that sets a precedent. But I also think that they are methodically finding ways so that they can control and monetize social media. And I think this is another way of them doing so. Again, it's a subtle thing that happens in stages. And so now if social media is addictive, right, you've got some countries where they banned social media for children under a certain age, right? And on the surface level, it's like, yeah, that seems like a good deal. But then on another level, it's like, so their parents can't choose, their parents can't decide, right? And it's good for children who don't have good parents at home. But again, it's setting precedents for the government making choices and decisions for us that we should be making for ourselves. So I think this is another one of those moves where in the short run, it seems like a good thing, but I think this might be something that could have an adverse effect in the long run. But kudos to her for her 3 million. I hope it serves her well. What's up, ATL? Ohio, that's Afro Man country. Is it really? All right, so I'm not going to play the video about the slave trade thing. I'll just read it here because I pulled it up on my phone. So I'll just read it just to give us a little bit of context. So, because everybody's talking about this online, right? The United Nations General Assembly this week overwhelmingly backed a resolution declaring the transatlantic slave trade the gravest crime against humanity. Welcoming the vote, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the wealth of many Western nations was built on stolen lands and stolen nations. So we all know that. And people are saying that this could have been a sort of step in the right direction for reparations. These people have absolutely no intentions of paying reparations. I'm not saying it's not due. I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm saying they have absolutely no plan to pay reparations. None. Everything that happened in California over the last 3 or 4 years with the conversation in Oakland was like a major focal point for it, where there was seemed like there was momentum and activity. All of that shit has been neutralized. None of it is still active to this day. They have no intentions on paying reparations. Doesn't mean certain people shouldn't still fight for it. This is obviously a legal fight. We should have a dream team of legal people that are focusing on that. But so again, what does it mean if they say that the transatlantic slave trade was the gravest crime in humanity? And will we ever expect for the people who were actually behind it to admit it? So it's like, what does this actually mean? What's the value of this? Everybody's all up in arms now. See, we told you they don't care. We know they don't care. See, we told you that, look at this, that we already know this. So it's keeping the race-based dichotomy active. This is the goal, to keep people running on this hamster wheel, because as long as we're paying attention to this shit, we're not really paying attention to what's really going on. The United Nations has like 10 other things that are extremely important to the average person in real time that nobody's talking about. And when I say nobody, I mean, it's not really being talked about. Am I still sharing this? No, I'm not sharing this, right? Let me remove this out of my, I'm going to read this passage from the book, and then I'm going to let you beautiful people go. Again, thank you guys for joining me. The information for my website is in the description. My email is in the description. My Cash App is in the description. I am a 7-time self-published author. My latest book, Ancient People, Social Studies and History textbook, is available on my website as well as my 4 metaphysics workbooks, The Science of Sex, The Science of Self, Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance, and Keys to Womanhood. My first 2 books, Black Matters, The Scientific Intervention in Our Affairs, and Plagues of Dysfunction. So all the stuff that I talked about, I've backed up with data, with research, with books, with content, etc. So again, this is the book that we are finishing in my book club reading on my book club group on my membership channel. Shout out to my members in my ZaZaAli.com membership. And so this passage that I'm about to read is called The Enjoyment of Beauty. And this is really critical for us right now in this timeline. And I'll say specifically to Black Americans, Black people in America, because going back to the concept of the race-based consciousness, they want to keep you locked in that frequency, because as long as you're there, you're not manifesting your highest and best representation of self. It's not about ignoring anything. It's about focusing on what it is that we actually want. They know this, right? That's why, again, why is the UN now all of a sudden, if they would have actually said that slavery was the biggest crime against humanity, was there like a stipulation like, yeah, if this gets voted on, we're going to cut a check for the Africans around the world? Hell no. So in The Enjoyment of Beauty on page 290, again, this is from the book Mastery Through Accomplishment by Hazrat Inayat Khan. I have a membership channel, you guys, that I do a book club meeting once a month. So if you want to have access to content like this all the time, including my headline news episodes, sign up for my membership channel. So he says there are 2 different temperaments that we generally see in the world. One says, I will not hear music on Sunday. It is a religious day. The liking for colors is emotional. Do not look at pictures, it excites. To enjoy any perfume, to like fragrance, he thinks is sensual. And then there is another temperament that feels the vibration of the colors, that enjoys delicious food, that admires the straight line and the curve, that is touched and moved by music, that feels exalted by the beauty of nature. And what difference do we find in these 2 temperaments? The difference is that one is living and the other lacks life. One is living because he is responsive to all aspects of beauty, whether the beauty appeals to his ears or eyes, or to his sense of taste or touch. The other one is incapable of enjoying it. So one is living and the other lacks life. There's this little bug flying around me and I haven't seen it all day, and it only is stalking me now because I'm doing this video. But the point of this, and the next sentence says, man in his innermost being is seeking for happiness, for beauty, for harmony. And yet by not responding to the beauty and harmony which is before him, he wastes his life, which is an opportunity for him to experience and to enjoy. What self-denial is it to deny the divine beauty which is before us? If we deny ourselves the divine beauty which surrounds us, then the beauty which is within us will not unfold. So this is as above, so below, right? As within, so without. We have to still, in context of everything that we've talked about, and we only really just scratched the surface in terms of, you know, Satan coming from behind the curtain, if you will. But in context of all of that, who are the ones among us that can still see the beauty in the world? Who are the ones that are still actively valuing and appreciating nature, valuing and appreciating the, you know, I hate when people, it's like human beings are so stupid, so ignorant. Okay, yeah, I get it. I'll be the first in line to make that argument. Actually, I wouldn't, but I'm just saying, I know. Trust me, I know. But at the same time, I'm always marveling about human ingenuity. I'm always marveling about architecture. I'm always marveling about somebody creating something that's never been done before, writing a book that inspires people, you know, going out into the world and being of inspiration, creating something beautiful, creating a piece of art, creating as a chef, creating a dish that makes people feel like they're at home, that makes them feel valued and appreciated. You know, people who do fashion design, you know, anybody that is in the creative process, I'm here for it 1000%. I'm always, always, always celebrating that, because that's what we came here to do. So if right now, as a Black man in America or as a Black woman in America, if you can't see the beauty in life because you feel ostracized, because you feel limited, because you feel like the white man has his foot on your neck, then guess what? That's what the universe is going to continue to feed you. More of that experience. One is living and the other lacks life. Are we actually living, or are we standing around waiting for the devil to take over? Are we standing, expose the devil, but then expose God? Not in the scriptures. We got a gazillion people doing that. Or I can't tell you how to do what you do. Do what you do. But exposing people to God through the scriptures is one thing. Exposing people through God to God in the way you live your life is another. Exposing people to God through your passion and through your creativity and to your inspiration is another, right? I feel like I can smile, you know what I mean, and light up a room. You know, and that's for the smart ass earlier that talked about me talking with my bottom teeth. And I see you still haven't came in the conversation. And yeah, I'm a Scorpio. I don't forget anything. Right? Don't play with me. I smile all the time. I don't talk with my bottom teeth. I'm just talking in a video. And the fact that you're paying that much attention to my mouth, it makes you a weirdo. And I bet you're still watching, because you're a weirdo, even though I blocked you in my comments. So, but I smile. I feel like I'm doing a service to the world by adding beauty. When I create a book, I'm adding beauty. I'll come here and we have these conversations and these mind-to-mind, heart-to-heart conversations and soul-to-soul conversations, right? We're adding beauty. When I have a one-on-one conversation, a one-on-one consultation with somebody that's like on 2, and like struggling to find their way and feeling lost and confused, and then by the end of the conversation, they're on 10, that's adding beauty. I'm doing my job. If you want to sign up for a consultation, hit me up at info@ZaZaAli.com. I'll send you the information to do so. Thank you to you guys who sent cash apps, the one person who sent a cash app. Thank you to you guys who sent super chats. I so appreciate the reciprocity and the love. If you found value in this video, please share it. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Help me to get the algorithm to work in my favor. And all the information is in the description in terms of how to reach me, how to find me, all the things. And I will see you beautiful people again very soon. Peace and love.